Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Before I begin today, a huge thank you to Ethan Cheney for the virtual gift voucher. Huge thank you my friend for the support, it is truly appreciated, thank you. But on to today. Today we are talking the birth of a legend, Ragnar Blackmane. Spoiler warning to begin, the events we are discussing today are from the Warhammer 40k novel Space Wolf by William King. As always, I really recommend you read the story for yourself first, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. Not only that, we help to support the great Games Workshop and Black Library, because without them we don't have this amazing lore to talk about. I will put a link in the description as always, but with that said, let's just jump straight in. So Ragnar Blackmane, by far one of my most favourite characters in all of the lore. Ever since I laid eyes on that old school 2nd edition model, I just knew the wolves were for me. The man who decapitated Gazkol Fracker, the youngest space wolf ever to achieve the rank of Wolf Lord, and the undoubted heir apparent to Logan Grimnar himself. Yet for all his tales of glory, Ragnar was, as all space wolves to be, a simple warrior of Fenris, a member of the Thunderfist tribe, and it fell upon one moonlit night that his fate was to be irrevocably altered, as his tribe feasted the night away in remembrance of former victories. They were invaded by their fiercest rival, the Grimskull tribe. With the Thunderfists caught by surprise and largely drunk, the battle is far from a fair contest, and many have fallen before they can even reach for their weapon. Ragnar, however, even then, reaps a fearsome toll on the enemy, felling many of their warriors before he himself is laid low. However, rather than reuniting with his slain father in the feasting halls of eternity, Ragnar finds himself pulled back from death to the land of the living once more, for he has been chosen by the Sky Warriors of Russ. And from there, Ragnar's tale is akin to any other prospective Space Wolf initiate. Their bodies are pushed beyond limits they barely believed possible to prepare them physically for the tests to come, before being taken to the Fang itself. Here they must prove the mettle of their spirit in resisting the temptations of the ruinous powers. Once having passed this test, forsaking any appeal of the gods of chaos, Ragnar drank from the cup of the wolfen, taking in the Canis Helix, and then with his body unleashing the wolf within, his mind combating the unbridled savagery, it is time for the final test, the test of Morkai. Left alone miles from the Fang, it's up to each of the aspirants to find their way through the wilderness and make the journey back home to safety. As the Thunderhawk disappears into the snow-filled distance, Ragnar finds not only his most defining moment, but also perhaps his most poignant. Upon the highest peaks of the mountains, the winds are whipping up the cold to absolute ice, and Ragnar knows he can waste no time in finding a more suitable area to survive. He wears a simple tunic and carries only his knife. The one goal he has is to return to the Fang alive, and the cold of Fenris could be the least of his problems. Making his way through the wild, Ragnar battles not only the cold, but the beast within him still raging against his soul. But through sheer determination, he continues to place one foot after the other, pressing on ahead through the snow, until nightfall comes. And here he shelters beneath an overhanging rock, managing some semblance of sleep. His dreams are ravaged by howling wolves, and when he awakens, every sense he has is screaming. He is not alone, for the howl is real, and one of the great wolves of Azerheim approaches. Now here we get a little detail not normally known in Ragnar's famed legend. The wolf that emerges from the dark is old and wounded. Now perhaps this kind of detail doesn't warrant mention in sagas of legend, or perhaps it's a subtle detail that has been retconned over the years. However, the simple truth is, even bearing a wound, Ragnar still barely stands a chance against a beast of this size. The beast measures to Ragnar's shoulders, and it outweighs him easily. Despite the wound, the strength advantage still goes to the great wolf of Azerheim, and Ragnar merely has his knife and a makeshift spear. With a maddened howl, the frenzied wolf comes. Ragnar launches his spear at the leaping beast and plunges it deep into its breast, the haft snapping in two as the wolf recoils away, before merely a second later, the beast comes again. This time with his spear taken away, Ragnar meets the wolf's charge head on. Barely avoiding its jaws, he slams his arms around its neck and squeezes with all his might. The wolf begins to thrash, throwing itself against the rock, but Ragnar refuses to let go. If he does, even for just a moment, he knows he will lose his life. And as he holds the beast with all his might, he draws his knife to finish the kill. Ragnar Thunderfist would be no more. Ragnar Blackmane would arise. Now for all the tales and sagas of this mighty feat, to me what happens barely a few hours later is much more important to Ragnar's character. Having killed the beast, Ragnar's Fenrisian heritage comes into play, and he utilizes the entire corpse to continue his quest back to the Fang, fashioning a pouch for Flint, a new spear, and of course a wolf pelt cloak for warmth. As you may expect, it stinks, but needs must in the wilds of Fenris, and Ragnar wears it with pride. His journey continues for a few more days, 7 in total, since he and the other initiates were left. And if he thought the dangers were past, he was most definitely mistaken, because for the past day he'd had the nagging feeling he was being followed. The fog and mist had rolled in, and while nothing yet had transpired, he was certain he felt eyes watching him from within the gloom. The mark of rust within him growled in defiance, and though his body was still coming to terms with the Canis Helix, he realized then he had accepted the beast within. He would not run. He would stand and fight. He had defeated one beast, and this night he would face another. And so as he sat by the glowing embers of his fire, every sense he has screams that the time has come. The stink he had smelled earlier became stronger. In it was a hint of something human, and of something animal. There was a smell like that of a wolf's fur. Now he could hear a faint snuffling sound, as of a large beast sniffing the air. His fingers tightened ever harder around the spear shaft. His body tensed like a coiled spring as he made himself ready to strike at the unseen enemy. Fear boiled in the pit of his stomach. The small hairs of his body rose. He recognized the outline of the thing that appeared in the firelight. It was tall and heavy, and manlike. Its torso was covered in the remains of a ripped grey tunic that now appeared far too small for its massive muscular form. Its hands ended in long talon-like claws. Its head was still human, but covered in thick, matted fur, and its snarling mouth revealed massive fangs. In its eyes burned hunger, rage, and a startling intelligence. It opened its mouth and gave a low, feral growl. An answering growl was torn unbidden from Ragnar's lips. It was wolfen. Here Ragnar stands face to face with the myths of old. Half man, half wolf. The curse of the space wolves. And this is really quite a fascinating moment. He realizes that the fear and unease he had been feeling wasn't simply because he was being tracked, but because his own beast within him knew the enemy was wolfen. And I just love that instinctual recognition. The answering growl coming from Ragnar without him even realizing it. Two kindred spirits recognizing each other. It's really a fascinating topic to ponder. Russ, who wore the mask of a savage, but was a clear intellectual and honoured warrior beneath. Yet for his sons, they remain very much the savage beneath. However, as Ragnar raises his spear, he hesitates. This wolfen was an initiate like him. It had drunk from the cup of the wolfen and been dropped into the wild the same as him. It could very well be someone he knows, one of his companions, who he had trained and fought beside. He can't just kill it. However, as Ragnar wrestles with his emotions, the wolfen makes the decision for him. The wolfen sprang. By instinctive reflex action, Ragnar sent the spear hurtling into its chest. The long blade pierced its ribs and buried itself in the monster's heart. Ragnar was slammed back into the boulder, and for a moment, found himself gazing into the creature's eyes. Human intelligence seemed to flood back into them. The twisted lips formed a single word. Ragnar. And then the wolfen died. Here is the tragedy of the wolfen curse. This initiate, a brave and honoured warrior, chosen by the wolves of Fenris, to serve in Russ and the Allfather's name, who passed the test of the gates of Morkai, only to become consumed by the Canis helix. And for Ragnar, the added curse, no pun intended, of now knowing he had slain one of his comrades. Reaching down to check the bracelet upon the creature's arm, Ragnar prays to Russ he doesn't recognise the rune upon it, and when he turns it over, it shows a hawk. Ragnar vented a long howl of rage and grief into the cold, uncaring night, knowing that he had just killed Kel. his only true friend. As I said earlier, for all the tales of the initiate Ragnar defeating the great wolf of Azerheim, earning his name of Blackmane, it is this moment to me that is the true making of the man. Looking into the eyes of the dying wolfen, realizing he has ended a friend, his one true friend. As tragic as this moment is, there can be no doubt the appreciation Ragnar gains from this moment, the understanding of just what it means to be a space wolf, to have the mark of Rus within him, to be a son of Rus. The meteoric rise he would have going forward is well known, but how much of it may be thanks to this defining moment? How much of that character was forged in iron here? As always guys, what do you think? Is this the true defining moment of Ragnar Blackmane? How much of this iconic character is defined right here? Or perhaps do you believe that his defining moment is yet to come, such as decapitating the great beast known as Gazkol Fracker? As always guys, leave your thoughts in the comments below, I love to read them. Huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. And if you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off and I'll see you all again real soon.